Hello, everyone. Hope you are well on this Thursday night. It is January 25th, y'all. We're almost through January. It's crazy. 2024, the year of, well, let's say interesting. Very interesting and uncertain. All right. I have several things to cover. I'm going to talk a lot about things that we're overhearing. Mrs. Dawg and I were talking a lot while ago. We've been talking about this for a while, but things that we're overhearing out there in the community and things that we believe some people are waking up to a little bit, and then things that I think or we believe that people are just clueless still. Okay, all right, but first, a couple of things before I started to record. We're having some thunderstorms out here, believe it or not, in January. Thunderstorms. It got up to like almost 70 degrees here today. Crazy. And we're getting some storms come through here. And Miss Ella, she don't like thunderstorms, do you? I know. I know. It's okay. They're gonna pass. It will pass. The thunderstorms will pass on. They will. You're gonna be fine. We've been getting a lot of rain here, and this morning we got a lot of rain, and I let them out to do their business, and it was still raining some at that point, that round of showers. And Teddy, it don't matter. He runs out there whether it's raining or not. He'll do his business. You hear him back there. But this one right here, Miss Ella, she's a little different. It's real wet, soggy, and she went to the edge of the patio where it's covered, took a look at it, looked at me, and said, "Nah." She walked back in the house. You're just gonna do it later, ain't you? Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm gonna put you back on the floor. Okay. Everything will be fine. Okay. There you go. All right. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go into some things that we've been over here, like I said, and our thoughts on that, and also have some other quick little updates I'm going to give you. And I have a really good passage that I'm going to share with you, so you want to stay tuned for that. So, all right, some quick things, some things that people were sending me, some information. One of them is about Denver, Colorado. What in the world happened to Denver, Colorado, y'all? Colorado in general. What in the world? But in Denver, I saw this thing where this was shared with me, but they have programs apparently where people that are homeless, they call them unhoused, they're homeless, uh, can get up to $1,000 with no strings attached for months on end. No strings, I mean, no requirements, I guess, no qualifying them or anything. I don't know how they do that, but they have the money to give, just dole out $1,000 a month. I wonder where that's going. Can you imagine? And they're homeless. So you can get $1,000 for doing nothing. While we're out here busting the hump, working like crazy, trying to do it the right way, law abiding, pay our taxes. Yeah, we do. Working, paying insurance, paying through the nose for everything. We're paying for it, aren't we? We are paying for it. Yes, you and I. Anyway, I mean, that's infuriating when you really think about it. Try not to let it get to you. Try not to let it do that. But it is. It is. It's so. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. There are programs in place for folks like this who are, yeah, who are unhoused or have a disability. There's disability. There's government programs. There's nonprofits. There's church. There's all kinds of help out there. You know. So also, national debt. United States national debt is up to $34 trillion and counting, and it is rapidly growing, y'all. It is a ticking time bomb, and it's going to go off one day, and it's going to be unexpected to where it's going to be like people are going to say, "Well, oh my gosh, I knew it's kind of, I had some knowledge that this was going on, but I didn't realize it was going to do all this." It's going to happen. And I won't mention names, but I never thought I would live long enough to see so much in this country, so much corruption on a level that is just unreal. We can't even measure it. It goes way deeper than we can probably ever even know. And a time when we mirror old other regimes like the Soviet Union or other Nazi Germany and to where it's you got political prisoners. You have political prisoners. Similar's going on north of us in Canada, though. To the point to where it's almost commonplace. It is commonplace to be thinking and saying to one another, "Well, be careful what you say. Be careful what you say out there." Think about that for a moment. Think about that. Did you say that 10 years ago? Did you say to each other, "Be careful of what you say. Somebody's going to hear it"? Can you imagine saying that 10 to 15 years ago, 20 years ago? It would be unfathomable. It would be unreal to think. Now, it's almost to the point to where, with all the devices and all that are in homes and work, wherever, to have a conversation that is truly uh, confidential, you would have to go out in a field somewhere and have nothing on you, no electronics on you, not being near other electronics. You and another person go out in the middle of nowhere outside and have a conversation verbally or write it down and read it. That's probably safer. Write something down and trade notes like you would communicate with a deaf person. I mean, think about that for a minute. I mean, really, isn't that amazing? Not amazingly good, of course, but it's just it's just something. But that's the truth. That's what's going on. And I think over time, little by little, this has happened to where it's like, the frog in the pot. It's like, oh my gosh, we're here. This is happening, y'all. Okay, on to things that we're overhearing. Now, I've been talking a lot to Ms. Dawg. I hear a lot from coworkers. Her coworkers, she hears things from her coworkers. We share a lot of information, of course, that we overhear, and things that she and I have been part of conversations in our respective workplaces or in church or just out in the community. And a lot of these times we're not, and I know Ms. Dawg don't either. We're not making a lot of remarks. We're mostly listening. Okay, we might nod and smile, but I know I don't say a lot of work. All right. Uh, these are things we're hearing. Even in an antique store, we were in an antique store not long ago, and we overheard some people talking about the economy and how it's getting tougher to just afford the groceries on a big salary. Okay. So you never know when you're going to hear stuff. It's interesting. Mrs. Dawg has this ability, this talent of like micro dog hearing talent ability to where she can hear conversations that are going on like three tables over somewhere. Like, are you hearing that conversation? I'm like, no, I don't hear it. I'm eating and, looking at stuff, watching the TV up there or something like that at a restaurant. But she can hear stuff. It's amazing. But it's really kind of cool too. It's like a superpower. It's a Mrs. Dog superpower. And she's like, they're talking about how they're having trouble making ends meet when they're at a restaurant, of course, probably driving a new car on top of it. But anyway, okay, some of these things, you know, some of the things that we are overhearing that would tell you that people are waking up to certain things. The things that we believe that people are waking up to. Number one, number one is inflation. Like that's everybody has to eat, right? Everybody has to have food, have to have transportation of some form. So they're complaining to their coworkers, their friends, their church mates, or whatever at church about how the cost of everything. Oh my gosh, the cost of everything is just unreal right now. And even people on both sides of the aisle, both sides of the political spectrum, all sides of it, are all saying similar. Okay. Even people who voted for the current regime, whatever, they're like, I can't believe it's costing me this much. I go to the grocery store, I go to Aldi or Costco, where I'm trying to cut my costs, and I'm still like paying so much for just so little. So that's number one. That's what we're hearing the most of, is how much things are costing, as opposed to how wages have not grown to come anywhere close to meeting the inflation. Okay. And people are definitely more awake to that. I mean, you gotta be, unless you're in that category of income to where you just have disposable income and you just buy whatever you want. I mean, there are those people. I get it. But by and large, most people aren't that way, and they're living paycheck to paycheck no matter what their salary is. Okay, they're making 100K or whether they're making 250K a year, they're still living paycheck to paycheck because they got to keep up with the Joneses. They got to get that car, they got to get that boat, they got to have that house in that neighborhood, and then now they're having trouble buying, uh, affording the fees. My kids want to play soccer, and now I got to pay for all this equipment, and I'm really getting nickel and dimed and all this, and now I'm struggling, and now the groceries are high. Insurance, car payment. It's like a snowball, and it's crushing them. Okay, and they're just barely keeping their nose above the water. Okay, that's what we hear the most of. They are awake to that, the inflation, and it's not going anywhere. And so that's a big concern, and that's a big thing. High crime, higher crime. People are waking up more to that, we do believe. Okay, because they're hearing more about it, and it's so prevalent that they hear, if it ain't happening to them, they're hearing it from their friends and all. It's just all around. Okay, so the crime, the high crime. A lot of people are worried about this year, about the election fallout. That's to a little degree, we're hearing a little bit of that. Okay, and the possible unrest from that. That's that's a little bit. Okay, that's really the most that we're hearing. Now, I did overhear or was part of a conversation. I didn't say much about it, but I listened mostly about the health. Um, how can I put this? The sudden, especially in the last several years, the excessive high rate of cancers. Okay, people getting cancers, and especially in the 30s and 40s and 50s, and how when they are discovered, they're at stage 4 or whatever, and they're about out, they're about gone, they're about dead. And so by the time they get to the oncologist and they start treatments, it's too late. Okay, and that, so the cancers, heart attacks, strokes, um, yeah, heart issues, infertility of young people, dementia, so all kinds of other health issues too, just unexplained deaths. Okay, it's just it's just a lot. So I did hear a conversation at my work talking about that, acknowledging it. As to the causes, go into that much, so I know people are like trying to be careful what they say. I get that too. That one thing they did mention, and in the food, it's in the food, or the stuff that they inject in the chickens and all that, which I can see that too. There are other reasons too that we know, we believe, and we won't mention, but that's part of it too. So are more people realizing that? They've got to. I mean, it's just in the people or people in your family. It's like you got to question this. Like, that's not normal. Somebody in the 30s has colorectal cancer, and that's not normal. I mean, that would happen every now and then, I guess, in the past, but that's a lot more common now, which is just doesn't make sense. So why? Why? Okay. So that's some I've heard. Other things that I think people are really clueless to, just from our experience, is the border issue. People are probably hearing a little bit about it, but they're really to a the invasion that is going on. Uh, and I think that to a large extent, that's because they're not. It's not in their face, not yet. It's not in their face, but it will be. So it's not affecting them directly yet. It's not in their face. It's not keeping them from seeing the doctor yet. Unless you're in a certain area. I mean, if you're in Texas, South Texas, you probably a little different story. But if you're in I don't know, North Carolina, in the New England area, or out Midwest somewhere, yeah. So I think they're clueless about that. The threat of WW3, even though there are so many wars going on already, people are clueless about that, have no idea how that can affect them. Those are things that I think people are, and just the overreach of government and things like that. I think people are probably a little clued into, but they're not going to say anything about it. Their heads are in the sand on a lot of this stuff. So that's just some things, share what you've been hearing or what you think people are a little more awake to, and what they're absolutely still clueless about. Should be interesting. All right. But overall, I think some people, I mean, you can't help but notice how much you're paying at the store for things. So, you know, anyway, I just thought this was interesting information. Uh, some other things we're watching, of course, we're watching the border issue closely on that. So I'll have more information about that in coming videos and other things, of course. So again, share your thoughts. I'm going to go to the verse because it's a good passage and try not to make this video too long. I just get going. All right. This is from John, book of John, chapter 5. I'm sorry, chapter 15, starting with verse 5. I'll read a few verses here. From the words of Jesus, I am the vine, you are the branches. If a man remains in me and I in him, he will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. If anyone that is thrown away and withers, such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be given you. This is to my Father's glory that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. Amen. That's pretty plain and laid out there, y'all. I mean, we need to stay in prayer. We need to stay keep our walk with God close, and as well, like Stephen says on here, stay close to Jesus. Amen. All right, let's be safe out there. God bless you, and I will see you soon.